The way I see it is the higher levels of unhappiness, and, honestly, you could probably pull up the scientific studies and figure out, what the cause of that is. I think freedom contributes to happiness. I think rights contribute to happiness. But then I think social stress and anxiety contribute more so to unhappiness. So I don't know if I wonder if you could look at social pressures and social media and find that it affects men and women fairly equally in different ways. Like you look at young women in Instagram, and you have these Instagram models that are all touched up with Photoshop and everything, and it's resulting in anxiety, stress, and depression. It's social issues that are causing it. Maybe you could argue that if you took away someone's freedom and they didn't have access to these platforms, then they wouldn't be unhappy with them. But I don't think that makes sense. I think it's just like, burning down the house because you had a plumbing problem in the kitchen. You know what I mean? I think by all means, keep the house, fix the plumbing, find out what the problem is. I think the problem is with unhappiness in general, be it males or females, is social media. It's creating this pressure to conform to certain things, to say certain things. And then it results in, like we mentioned before, with people like, Keith Olbermann saying insane things about taking vaccines away from people in Texas because you don't like their opinions. It results in people advocating for beating others and committing acts of violence because they're increasingly more and more desperate to fit in. We talk a lot about how young women are influenced by Instagram. There was apparently cosmetic surgery based on Snapchat filters or something like this because they want to clean their God. Yeah, really creepy stuff. Young women who will post a photo on Instagram and then not get enough likes and get really depressed and start freaking out. It's really negatively impacting these kids. But then how is it affecting men? Because I'm sure it absolutely does.
Well, as you were speaking, I was thinking, and I relate this to myself, especially as a I guess a former actor. I don't know anymore, but I follow The Rock, for instance, and I love the guy. I'm a huge pro wrestling fan, or at least I was back when it was good. And I think in terms of men, and again, this might lead into sexual dynamics and where people perceive their value to lie, maybe within the sexual marketplace, maybe not. But if we're talking about women using filters and beautifying themselves on these platforms and not feeling beautiful enough in comparison to other women, what about these other accounts where you see these men who are, I'm starting a business and I have this amount of money, I got
flashing
this,
wads of cash.
Exactly, I got this car, I got this house, I got this and that. So I think a lot of guys are looking at that and they're being like, well, that's not me. I mean, I guess I'm just a freaking loser, man. I don't know, I don't got nothing. And then I got all these women are commenting on these posts, and so maybe that's part of it. Maybe that's contributing to male unhappiness. It's the success status, the status comparison is what I'm getting.
Guys not having kids, guys not having relationships, staying home and playing video games all day, not advancing. I think I don't want to just kind of shift this and dump it all into social media, but I really do think social media
it's a huge issue.
Is affecting both men and women.
It's really the education around it too. Like you said, it's not the freedom that's destroying them, it's their misuse of it. Because you have the freedom to light your body on fire, but not to. And if you knew that it wasn't the filters that made you beautiful, that would help.
Some people, look, you got a freedom not to eat a whole ice cream cake from Baskin Robbins, but some people will do it. You know what I mean?
And I was also thinking, when I would post a video on something of me being like, oh, I feel like crap. 2 tweets, 2 retweets, 2 likes, and then less people would want to follow me. I post a picture of me on a boat with a bunch of beautiful women. Everybody wants to be my friend.
Take a look at this. What you were saying about these guys. Casey Neistat. You familiar with Casey?
Yeah.
He's like the godfather of vlogging on YouTube. Look at his biggest videos with 50 million views. What is it? I'm in a luxury first class $20,000 airplane ticket, mini hotel in a plane. It's a lot of his biggest stuff was flaunting extreme wealth and status. And I'm not saying it to disparage him in any way. I'm not saying he did it on purpose. I'm saying, he did a video vlog where he was flying on a Emirates flight. It's like a $20,000 ticket. And they give you a room, and apparently there's like a shower in it or something. It's really crazy.
Wow.
I don't know if that was his video, but his video was he has this little room he's in, and it gets 50 million views because people want to see that status. It's why we had shows like Lifestyle, The Rich and Famous, and Cribs. So very much so, as we've entered this space where you now control your own media outlet, everybody's a public figure. For some reason, and by all means, the feminists can tell me why this is happening. Women have started to focus specifically around beautification, getting likes for their appearance and their bodies. Maybe it's a bad thing and they shouldn't do it. By all means, feminists can tell me, comment below and say they shouldn't. I'm not asserting my opinion. I'm just saying it's happening.
Well, there's also, it's the question of power. And, and again, I go back to, my job. And it's kind of funny. There's a comedian named Patrice O'Neill who unfortunately passed away many years ago from complications of diabetes. But, he talks about how he said, I wish I could just walk around for one day as a beautiful woman, because he talks about how, they could be the plainest person and just have nothing going on for them, but if they look good, they can walk around as if they're celebrities. And so I look at, and so again, I'm at this job and I see it every day. There is so much, and it's strange. I mean, the same thing. I try to watch my words because I know that I will also get heat from gender activists and feminists, but to deny the power, the raw power of a beautiful woman and the effect that it has on a man. I mean, and even other women say like, oh, she's so pretty. What do you do? There is something about that. I don't even know if I can put it into words or articulate it, but it definitely has an effect. You can be, I don't consider myself somebody who, I guess by the nature of my profession, I'm used to being around beautiful women. So it's demystified for me, and in a way, it's made me even more choosy as far as who I choose to date, because I'm like, okay, well, I see all of that, but what's inside, what's going on up here, what's going on in here. But I just even I sometimes it's like, so hey, hey, hi,
too powerful.
It's just
feminine wiles,
and honestly, it doesn't even have to be. She doesn't even have to be super duper attractive. She could just have a certain way about her. That's what we kind of say, and it can completely disarm you, and you don't know what. I mean, Antony and Cleopatra. The Shakespeare play. That's sort of what it's about. You see this powerful man, this general, this warrior, and Cleopatra is at home, and she has him wrapped around her finger. It's amazing.
Do you have any like male heroes or people you look up to, like you're a big fan of?
I have a few.
Do you ever meet them?
Well, a lot of them are dead, but
there you go.
but one right now that that I like a lot is actually Malcolm X. And which I think might surprise a lot of people given my viewpoints. I mean, I'm sure people who follow him would call me an Uncle Tom and all those other things. But the thing about it, in his autobiography, in the epilogue or the afterword to it, the actor Ossie Davis, who's no longer with us, unfortunately, he made the point that Malcolm taught us how to be a man when we were not allowed to be men. And there's this clip that of this press conference that he gave after his journey to Mecca, and he was asked about bringing the case of racial discrimination and oppression of Black Americans to the United Nations. And Malcolm said, I'm going to paraphrase, but he said, I would not be a man if I did not, pursue this action. And he repeated, if I didn't bring this case against up to the UN, I would not be a man. And so for me, even though the concept of maleness is consistently derided now, I think there is a true power in being able to say, this is what I'm standing for, this is what I believe in, and I'm willing to put my life on the line to say this. And it's one of the things that inspires me to keep on running my mouth right now. Is like, if I don't say something about this, then I would not be a man, whatever that means,
or a human,
before we go too far, the reason I asked is, you're talking about how you meet this woman and you get tongue-tied, and I started thinking about this a while ago. When they talk about what the average male or female finds attractive, it's like guys want young, beautiful women, and there's a variety of physical features that men are attracted to. The OkCupid data showed that it's like 22-year-old women almost exclusively. Like, no matter how old the guy gets, he always goes for 22-year-olds. And then I thought, okay, well, they say, like, what do they say about what makes women, attracted to a man? Confidence, charisma, and status. And I'm like, so you mentioned that like a woman could have nothing going on for her, but just be beautiful, and then guys are like fawning all over,
yeah.
And I was like, so then what's the male equivalent of this high societal value? And it's status, notoriety, and fame. And I'm like, so then I wonder if there are similarities between, guys who look at women and they're like, woo, and guys who look at a celebrity or a famous individual and yell at them, not sexual advances, obviously, which definitely gives guys a bit of that privilege, because, I'm sure a lot of it's disgusting. But when you're a guy walking on the street and you have a bunch of people like hollering at you and yelling at you like, yo, can I get a picture? I'm a big fan. It's not identical, but there's a similarity there in this is what society values in men. This is what society values in women. Interestingly enough, though, women will still get it worse when they're famous and beautiful, because now everybody's yelling at you because you're famous, and they're yelling at you because you're beautiful. So it's an interesting dynamic. And the reason I asked about male heroes is I was wondering, do you think you would get tongue-tied if you came across a male, hero of yours who you looked up to and was inspired by?
I think so, probably.
So I want that's just an idea I was wondering about.
There's actually in the film Malcolm X. I mean, Denzel Washington. He was so unbelievable in this role. Like to this day, when I see a picture of the real Malcolm, I see both men. And there's a scene in the film where Malcolm meets Elijah Muhammad, and Denzel plays it so beautifully. He has his head down, and you see tears start streaming down his face. This is a man who spent his time in prison, educating himself, learning how to speak. This dude was a former pimp. He goes into detail in his autobiography, about how he learned the street slang. And so he knows how to talk to people. And yet, in this, at least as depicted in this movie, he meets his idol. And he can't say anything. He just starts crying. It's such a powerful, beautiful moment. And I will say I did get to meet Harry Belafonte, and that is somebody that I said, I wonder if what I would say to him if I ever met him. And I did a show off Broadway where he played it was a play called Carmen Jones, and he did the movie adaptation of it, and he played a character named Joe, which is what I played off Broadway. And one night he came to the show, and I'd been saying to myself, well, what would I say to him if he showed up? And I'm somebody who is extraordinarily grateful to the people that came before me, which is another reason why I step away from this woke stuff, because I feel like they keep erasing the heroes of the past. But I got out of the theater, walked around the corner, and there he is, this 91-year-old man in this wheelchair, eyes still bright, these bright blue eyes, his great cheekbones. And at a certain point, I just said, thank you for everything that you have done. You're a warrior and you're a trailblazer. And I just want to shake your hand. And I was like, can I get a hug? And he got up. His old 91-year-old rickety self. Man, I get emotional thinking about it. And there's video of it. And we hugged each other. And so that's one instance where as I said, I just was like, that I met a trailblazer and the hero. Where I was like, thank you. So maybe. So maybe say what?
Not tongue-tied.
But I guess what I'm getting at is that maybe it depends on who the guy is and what situation that he's in his life. Like I see other guys at the gym or whatever, and they look good, they're ripped or whatever, and I'm like, wow, good for that guy. That guy looks amazing. Or I'll see somebody who's like doing their thing, they're running a business, they make money. I'm like, wow, good for that guy. Like I could be there somewhere. But at the same time, the flip side might be, man. We're keeping the family friendly, so I can't say what I want to say. But man, look at this dude, you flashing all this, man. You got these big muscle, man. Whatever. You just, we call them haters.
Yeah.
To be.
I got a lot of them on Twitter.
Oh, I bet you do, my friend.
I remember I was working. I worked in California once when I was doing fundraising, and I saw a dude pull up in a very expensive car, like convertible, and I'm just thinking like he looked really young, like early 20s, and I'm like, what is he doing? And I was like, hey man. And he's like, yo, what up? I'm like, what are you doing? Like, you're making all this money. You clearly look like you're doing well. He's a real estate. And so it's like, I saw that, and I went up to a guy, and I was like, yo, I want to talk to you real quick. Because I saw his power and his status. You know what I mean? And I was like, give me some advice. Like, he was a little bit older than me. And I was like, what is this? How do you afford this? What do you do for a living? What's the key? How did you get started? Tell me those secrets. You know what I mean?
That's the plot of The Pursuit of Happiness. Remember that Will Smith movie?
Yeah.
Where he
but that was based on a true story, wasn't it?
Yeah. But he sees a guy driving a nice car, and he's like, well, what do you do? Like, well, I'm a stockbroker. It's like, well, I want to learn how to do that. How do I learn how to do that? So I mean, that's the kind of thing. I was speaking about this earlier to one of your colleagues, just about this creeping nihilism, this lack of aspiration. There's no people. It's as if, and especially with the response to COVID, people are just content with sitting in and just shutting themselves in all day and never striving for anything. And wanting to strive for something, it makes you greedy, it makes you selfish. You're only thinking of yourself. But if you're constantly denigrating people who want to build something or to achieve something, maybe they are selfish. But if that drives them to create, if that drives an Elon Musk to launch rockets into space, you know what I mean? Then what's the deal? What's the problem with that? Why can't we aspire to be like these people instead of tearing them down? It seems like there's a huge cultural movement where it's like striving for any kind of achievement or whatever is looked down upon.
Crabs in a barrel, man.
Crabs and
like
Crabs in a
resentment.
bucket.
Like if
Trying
you're
to pull you
not,
back down.
if someone's not striving and then they see someone that is, there might be this resentment. Maybe is the reason.
Do you know the phrase "crabs in a barrel"? Crabs in a bucket.
Yeah, what is it? They snap at each other because
When-
they all want out at the same time.
Right. So when one is climbing out, the other one grabs, trying to pull itself up.
If
Pulls
they
them back
only
down.
knew if they worked together, they could all get out. The bottom guy would climb up their backs first,
Pull
and then
them all
one
out
at a
in one
time.
big- Yep.
Except
But-
the guy at the top would have to hang there and carry the weight of all the other crabs.
We need one of those crabs to like introduce crab communism so they understand the power of the collective.
You know what you
say,
could
like this
do?
collective, yes.
Get a bunch of crabs to cling onto the barrel in a circle, and then a bunch of crabs out, so you have like a funnel of crabs, and that way
All right.
distribute the
Yeah,
weight.
yeah.
Let's
look,
work
and
together.
We've solved
decentralize the weight
It's
distribution.
it's the age-old mathematical problem. We've now solved it. The crabs in a barrel mathematical equation. It's simple.
There it is. And all the crabs that disagree, kill them.
Then we eat them.
There we go.
With some butter sauce.
Perfect. Everyone wins in this scenario.
Thanks for checking out this clip from the Timcast IRL podcast. If you want to see the full show, come back to this channel, youtube.com/TimcastIRL, Monday through Friday at 8 p.m., where you can leave comments and super chat, and we actually will read your comments on the show. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and if you want exclusive members-only content, segments you can't get anywhere else, go to timcast.com, become a member, and we even have full bonus episodes. Thanks for hanging out, and we'll see you all next time.